everybody, it's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for June's TBR campaign. So the first thing I want to do is address my appearance. I have COVID again and I really don't feel like getting all dressed up and doing my makeup, so I'm in my hoodie and I'm not wearing makeup and we're just going to go with it because I've been struggling to do filming recently because things have gotten really busy, but I do want to get this video up, so you're just going to have to put up with me looking like this. Also, while we're on the subject, I absolutely love this hoodie. I just got it the other day. No, I'm not sponsored or anything like that, but I did just get it the other day and it is so comfy and warm and amazing, so you may be seeing it a lot more on this channel. Who knows? Alright, so anyway, TBR Campaign is my monthly TBR game that I play every month, obviously, in order to decide what books I'm going to read each month. So the first thing that I need to do is go through all of the books that I should have read in the month of May and see whether or not I did, and then that will determine whether I get a punishment or a reward. For either of those things, I spin a wheel, whether it be a punishment wheel or a reward wheel. That then might change some of the things about how we play the game. So let's go through that first and then we'll, see where we are. The first roll, I landed on a gnome, which means I need to read a short story, graphic novel, novella or comic, and for that I chose The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. I have not started that at all, so right off the bat we are definitely having a punishment. So yeah, I failed before I even started. Anyway, let's go through the rest anyway, just because. For roll number 2 I landed on Orc, and for this I needed to read a gothic novel, horror, dark academia, thriller, murder mystery, and for this I chose The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I was reading this with my friend Michelle as a buddy read and I have read half of it. We are continuing to read it, but it'll roll over into June. However, were it not that I had already failed, I could still count it because I need to have read basically 10% of the book in order to be able to count it. So that still counts, but yeah, I'm halfway through. For roll number 3, I got a travel card, and the card itself was to read an indie or self-published book, and I chose Fantasy of Frost by Kelly St. Clair, which I did read. Roll number 4, I landed on an elf, and for this I needed to read a fantasy novel, and I chose the next Rainwild Chronicle book, book number 3, and I didn't read it. Roll number 5, I landed on a character class, which meant I needed to roll a d10. I did roll the d10, and I got a warrior, and for that I picked Generations, which is a Firefly novel, Firefly being one of the TV shows created by Joss Whedon, and I did read that one. Roll number 6, I landed on The End, and that's a free space, but I needed to pick it then and there, so I chose my book club pick for my Ko-Fi, which was Enclave by Claire G. Coleman, which I did read. And then the reward was to buy myself a book, but that added a book to my TBR, so anyway, I did read that one. It was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, and I did read it. Okay, so for this month, I am actually participating in a readathon, which is hosted by Kirsty from K Beth Bookish, which is the Adventureathon, and there are a bunch of different pathways that you can choose in order to have your adventure. I've decided that I want to be a mage, so there are a few different things that I need to pick, and I will go through that at the end once I have decided what books, because some of the things I need to pick now. So we'll go through and do that at the end. I do also have 2 books that I need to fit on the TBR somewhere, somehow, even if it's an add-on, and I do also have a few books that I want to try and get on the TBR. So, first up is the Ko-Fi Book Club book, which is Dark Rise by C.S. Pacat. This was chosen by our member of the month from April, which was Ash from Ash's Adventure in Bookland. I will link her channel in the description below. You should go and check her channel out because she's fantastic. And yeah, that was the book that she chose for us, so that's what we'll be reading for our Ko-Fi book club. Then I have my In Real Life book club, which we do a bi-monthly book pick, and for May-June it was The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, which I haven't read yet, so I do need to read in June. Then for Bethany's Patreon, the book for June is Bluebird by, I didn't write down who, but the info will be up here. That's another book I want to try and fit in. Chloe's Crime Scene Corner, I'd like to try and do a book for that, which is American Predator. Again, I don't know who by, but it'll be on the screen. For Vicious Patreon, they are reading the, I can't remember what it's called. Rhapsodic was the first book by Laura Thalassa, so I want to try and read that. The second book is coming up in June, A Strange Hymn, so I want to try and fit that one in. And then finally, Ren from the Reading Wren has started a Queer Lit book club, and their first month is coming up in June, and the book is Of the Wild. Again, I can't remember the author, but again, it'll be on screen, and I really want to try and fit that one in as well. So those are some books that I need to / would like to get to. So let's do the TBR now. I did roll the rolls a couple of days ago, but I am going to do what I usually do and insert them and everything. So let's now go to me doing the first roll, and then we'll see where we are. I did also spin the punishment wheel, so I'll show you that now, the screen recording. And as you just saw, I had to roll a d4 as one of my rolls instead of a d20, so it just takes longer to get through the game. So I decided to do that first up, so let's go and see what happened there. Here is my d4 here, it's the little triangular one. So let's roll that for the first roll. And I rolled 4. So it's the one that's facing down, which isn't too bad. So 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a gnome, which is a short story, novella, or graphic novel. So with my d4, I rolled a 4, and I landed on a gnome, which again means I need to read a graphic novel, short story, comic, or novella. And I decided to actually just put the Sandman back on the TBR. I have borrowed the first volume, but I think it's a bind up, so I think actually the first volume is like proper comic size, because this is huge. But anyway, I'll read some of this in the month of June. I borrowed it off my friend. He's super excited for me to read it. I definitely want to get to it, so I'm just going to put it straight back on the TBR, and I'll read what I think is probably actually the first volume. Maybe not the whole book wind up. Well, we'll see how we go. But anyway, the first roll got me Gnome, which will be Sandman by Neil Gaiman. I am choosing to put up all of the images rather than hold up the books because I have COVID. I don't want to be holding up the books and then not be able to read them for a week or so because I'll want them to be in quarantine. So yeah, that's why you're getting images instead of books. Anyhow, so that was roll number 1. Let's now go and do roll number 2. Okay, roll number 2. We're switching back to our d20, so let's do that. Is a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and is a travel card. So let's go see what the travel card is. And for roll number 2, we've got a travel card. So I've got these here. So let's shuffle them up, and then I'll pick one of the travel cards. I'm not a very good shuffler. As you know, we'll just do what we can. Alright, I'm going to pick this one here. An Australian Aboriginal author. Alright, let me think about that. Right. And so for Australian Aboriginal author, I decided to go with the Foretelling of Georgie Spider by Amberlynn Quay-Molina. This is the final book in a trilogy that I've been reading over the last few years. It is a dystopian future story set in Australia, and they're really, really interesting, and I'm really, really enjoying them. I don't want to go into any more detail because I don't want to give any spoilers, but I highly recommend that you pick them up if you like the Bone Season or just dystopians in general. But the Bone Season is one that particularly makes me think of this when I am thinking of books to compare it to. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I really enjoyed the first 2 books in the series, and I'm really looking forward to finishing it up and seeing what happens. So that's the book I chose. I literally just said that I wasn't going to pick up any books so that I wouldn't have to have them in quarantine, but I guess this is the next book that I'm reading while I have COVID, or maybe it's the last book I'm reading. We will see. But anyway, that's not important. This is going on the TBR. So let's go and see what happened with roll number 3. Okay, roll number 3. Oops, is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half elf, so a young adult or middle grade. And as you just saw, for roll number 3, I landed on a half elf, which means I need to read a middle grade or young adult, which is perfect because Dark Rise by C.S. Pacat is a young adult fantasy. So I'm going to pop that on the TBR for middle grade or YA, and also as our book club book for the Last to Read book club, Ko-Fi book club. So yeah, that is run by myself, Ellie from Earl Books, and Lana from the India Chords. I will link all the information you need if you'd like to come and join us. We have a lot of fun. We do regular reading sprints. We run the book club. We do all sorts of really fun things. So we'd love to have you if you'd like to join us. But yeah, this is the book we'll be reading, and therefore my young adult book. So let's now go and see what the next roll will end up being. Okay, roll number 4. I could really do with some higher numbers this time, but let's see how we go. That is a 6, so really not that much higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another travel card, which means that I do have to go backwards 2 spaces and play the travel card and whatever I land on in back 2 spaces. So let's go back 2 spaces now. And it's a dwarf, which is classic or non-fiction. Okay, so as you just saw, I landed on a travel card, which was the second travel card that I have got in the game, which means I had to go back 2 spaces and do that as well as the travel card. And when I went back 2 spaces, I landed on a dwarf, which means I need to read a classic or a non-fiction. So let's do the travel first, and then we'll decide what non-fiction or classic to do. All right, so travel cards. Alright, next one. I'll go from the back this time. Last to read book. Okay, so I've already included last to read as a middle grade or young adult. So I think I will put that aside. I'll put it back in next time. And I will actually shuffle again and do it again. This time I'm going to go for the front. Play another TBR game. Okay. Okay, so I really wasn't prepared for this card at all, and I haven't gotten any information on how to play anyone's TBRs or any boards or anything organised. So, and I have, like I said, I have COVID, I don't feel that great. I feel okay, but not that great. So I've decided that I'm actually just going to borrow someone's first roll or whatever from their TBR game. So I had a quick look, and I just saw that Beth from Books Nest has put up her Fictionary TBR game. So I'm going to borrow the first bit of their TBR game, the first roll that they do for their Fictionary. I will link their channel in the description below so you can go and check out what I'm talking about. But it is a TBR game loosely based on Pictionary called Fictionary. And anyway, the first roll that they landed on, they landed on title, and for that they got the prompt, a book that starts with the. So let me go and find a book that starts with the. Shouldn't be too hard, but let's see how we go. I'll be back. Okay, so this is actually perfect because it means I can include the flat share, so yay. So that will be the next book on my TBR, and then I have to pick a book for dwarf, so classic or non-fiction. And for this one I've decided to read Surrender by Bono, which is a book that my parents lent me recently, and it is a book written by Bono about his life. So it's an autobiography. Sounds really interesting and I'm excited to read it. So yeah, that is on my TBR. I literally just realised I haven't told you anything about any of the other books. I told you a little bit about Georgie Spider. The Sandman is a graphic novel about the Sandman, who is the Morpheus, the king of dreams from Greek mythology. And then what else have we got? Dark Rise I know absolutely nothing about. The Flat Share is a romance / women's fiction about two people who share a flat, but it's very unconventional because Leon kind of has prime tenancy over the flat, but he's only there during the day. Yes, he's only there during the day because he works at night. So he rents the flat out to Tiffy, who works during the day and is there at night. And so they actually share a bed, but they are sharing the flat. And romance ensues. It's a reread for me. I love it, and I'm excited to reread it for the book club. And then Surrender, as I said, is Bono's autobiography. So that was roll number 4. So let's go see now about roll number 5. Okay, let's go again. 12, that's a bit better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that is my class. So that means that I need to roll a d10, and that will give me my class, and I pick a book from there. So let's go and see what that will be. So I landed on the class square, which means I have to roll a d10. I'm just going to do a little roll on top of the book, and hopefully it doesn't fall off, and we'll see what happens. And we've got a 10, which means I have to read a book that is set in our world but features paranormal activity, which I could do the next volume of The Sandman. I'm just trying to think. Or I could do the Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow, which might work better for Adventureathon, Readathon. I think I'm going to pick the Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow because it is set in our world, but it's featuring witches, so that's supernatural. So we're going to go with that. That is, historical fiction fantasy about witches and the suffragette movement, and that's literally all I know, but it sounds amazing. I love Alex E. Harrow's one of her other books, The 10,000 Doors of January, so I'm super excited to try this one. And we are on roll number 6, so let's go and check out what that ends up being. Okay, next roll. 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and the end. So pick whatever I want, but I must pick it right now. So there you go. Let's go see what my final book will be. Roll number 6 is the end, which means I can choose any book I want, but I have to choose it right now. So I'm going to choose Of the Wild by the person whose name I've forgotten, which is the Queer Lit Book Club book for June. I'm choosing this one because it is Pride Month in June, so I want to read as many queer books as I can. But yes, that is the TBR. Those are all the roles. And yeah, let's go through now and I'll show you my path for Adventureathon and fill in the blanks there. So there are a bunch of different pathways to different types of magical creature, magical career that you can take. I've decided to go with mage. So there's like 4 different things that you have to do, and then there's a bunch of side quests that you can do on top of what you have to do in order to become a mage. So let's go through them now. First of all, you have to pick a tool, and for mage you can pick either a wand or a spell book. So I decided to go with a wand, which means I needed to pick a book with magical item on the cover, and I decided for that to go with Of the Wild because they have these little magical like beings on the cover, which I think is a magical item. I mean, it's stretching a little bit, but I'm going to go with it anyway because I'm already reading it, so it works. So that's my wand. Then you need to pick a skill, and for this you can pick alchemy, scrying, or evocation. I've decided to go with alchemy. The prompt for that is a book with 2 or more genres, and so for this I have chosen The Once and Future Witches because it is both historical fiction and fantasy. Then we have the 2 main quests, so we have the starting quest and the final quest. For the starting quest, you needed to read a book featuring magic, so for that I'm choosing Dark Rise because it is a fantasy and will likely include magic. And then for the final quest, you have to read a 2023 debut. I have decided to twist this one a little bit and add a book onto the TBR. I'm going to go with The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, which I should have read a couple of months ago for my Magical Reads Aurelium Academy, but I didn't. But this is a adult debut for the author, and I did check with Kirsty and she said that was okay. So it's not a debut for the author per se, but it's her first adult novel. So Kirsty said that was okay, so I'm going to count it. It's also relatively short, so I hopefully will be able to get to it. Then we have some side quests, and if I get to these, that would be amazing, but if not, The first side quest is to learn the basics of magic, so you needed to read a high fantasy, and I am partway through A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. I'm reading that with my friend Alison, and we put it off for a week or so, so we're going to come back to it in June, so I definitely want to keep reading that one, so that's for that. Then I had to submit a research paper, which meant I needed to read A Dark Academia, and for this I'm going to go with The Secret History since I'm halfway through that as well, so that will definitely count for that one. I don't have any for the next two, but then there is Potion Brewing, create a beverage that matches your character. So I'll have a think about that and maybe do a vlog about it or something. But anyway, that's everything that I have for my Adventureathon TBR and for my TBR in general, TBR campaign. Anyway, please comment below if you have any thoughts on any of the books I picked. If you're joining Adventureathon, what path are you choosing? Or any other comments that you'd like to make, please do so down below. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me some kind of coffee cup emoji or something, because my hoodie, or my hoodie I should say, has different forms of coffee all over it. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.